Hello?
Dude.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know how I have that, like, semi-healthy fear of orcas, you know, because they eat the livers out of sharks?
Yeah. They're
pointedly? Like,
yeah.
that's still a problem in my head. Like, I've heard that apparently it's because of the nutrients in the liver of a shark. But anyway, it's where my fear developed. But I have found more things to fear about orcas. Are you ready for this?
I could hardly tell you, but go ahead.
That's fair. I'm going to tell you anyway.
Okay.
Did you know that apparently orcas can and do occasionally eat a moose? Okay? Like, yeah. Yeah, they're a land animal, right? Okay, I'm going to tell you how a land moose.
And
not a
the
sea
sea
cow.
orca is...
The sea orca.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so here's the thing. Okay? So you know moose, they're very big animals, right? Like, they need to eat a lot of aquatic vegetation. It doesn't necessarily have to be aquatic, but they eat aquatic vegetation, right? Like, in the mountains, you see moose in the lake. They're diving for the things, right? And they can dive up to 20 feet deep. Okay?
In, like, Alaska?
Yes. So that's the thing. So they live throughout the things, the mountains and such. But in Alaska, which is another primary habitat, yes, they dive in the sea to get the vegetation.
Like seaweed.
Yes. I have lots of questions about this in terms of, like, how the salt water affects their diving and coming up for air and such.
Yeah, like, what's
that
the
is what it is.
buoyancy level there? That's weird.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. But here's the thing. Orcas, who are also very, very populous in the Alaskan area, breach themselves to hunt for food, right? Like, that's how they get seals on the shore. That's one of their very common hunting techniques that they do, and it's passed down from the matriarch. Like, that's a thing. They beach themselves, like when they're hunting seals.
How do they
Okay?
What?
That's the thing. That's one of their hunting techniques.
But how did they get back in? They just wiggle?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. There's a technique. I don't know it.
Okay.
I don't have a matriarchal orca to show me the ways, but it's a thing. Okay? It's a thing. And they're terrifying. And I just, like, so inevitably this leads to, like, moose are giant, though, right? Have you ever seen a video of a moose walking next to a car? Like, they're the size of an SUV.
Yeah.
Okay? Right? Like, it's terrifying how large they are. And that's the land animal, right? Like, the moose, right? And so I was like, this is like, does a moose even have any sort of defense against this? Like, because apparently there actually isn't very many, like, natural predators of a moose because they are so large. So, like, obviously, you know, every once in a while a bear will take them down. But for the most part, like, moose are actually, even though they're not carnivores, that's the wrong word. They're vegetarians. Like, they're not a huge part of the food chain because they are so difficult to take down, right?
Right, because they're massive and they eat the herbs.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So, like, and but moose also just don't make sense because they got the long spindly legs.
Yeah.
But then, like, it's almost like a giraffe.
They have, like, a really barrely chest, don't they?
Yes. Yes, they do. And it turns out that they can actually run 35 miles per hour, which, and this is really trippy to me, I don't think it means anything in their prey and predator relationship, but so a moose can run 35 miles per hour, which is actually the average speed of an orca swimming.
Okay. Which
just feels cruel from nature that the moose can run as fast as the orca swims, but, like, you're in my town now, you know? Like, they can swim a little bit faster in bursts, like, they're very much like a burst animal, but their average, like, when they're migrating and such, is 35 miles per hour, which
they're
is
like
coasting
runs. Speed, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate because a moose can only swim 5 to 6 miles per hour.
Hey.
Which, just for reference, because, I mean, when you think, like, you know, a car 5 miles an hour. Like, that doesn't sound fast, but neither does 35 miles per hour, right? But then I was looking into, like, other swimming. And Katie Ledecky, so the Olympic swimmer, and her world record breaking 400-meter freestyle, her speed was 3.78 miles per hour in her world record breaking swim.
People are in so much danger.
So much danger.
I don't like this anymore.
I never did. Welcome to my level. Orcas are beautiful from far away. This moose thing, let me do some things, right? So just like there is no real footage of an orca eating the shark, and that's the thing, it doesn't even eat the great white shark, which is what bothers me so specifically, is that it like takes like a delicate bite out of the shark to get to the liver. And I get, because everybody's always like, well, there's different nutrients in the liver. I'm like, I get that there's different nutrients in every liver of every animal, because it's just a thing. Science. But it's an orca, right? Like, they are massive. They don't have opposable thumbs. How do they take such a precise bite?
Along with, like, I'm assuming that the shark is not just like sitting there taking it, So that's what's like really disturbing.
So one of the other hunting techniques of orcas, which is also disturbing, is that they're very good at stunning their prey. They have this tail slap that basically like concusses things. Like, they do it to seals. They do it to smaller sharks when they actually eat the whole, because there are certain breeds of sharks that they eat the whole shark of.
Okay.
And seals and smaller fish and all these things, right? But for whatever reason, the great white shark, they don't kill to eat the whole animal. And I get the drive. I don't get the how.
Yeah.
And with the moose, so there's no footage that I've ever been able to find. And I've read several articles that say there is no footage of an orca eating a moose. But so this leads me to two questions. A thought and a question.
I wonder if one of them is mine. Go ahead.
they haven't, there's no footage of it, but they do have carcasses, a couple of moose carcasses that have whale bites, which is also how they determined that it was the orcas that were eating the great white livers, because they matched the teeth pattern.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense.
So I can't find, they don't mention what parts of the moose were left for them to make these assessments. Mm-hmm. And it also led me down a very scary thought process where, because then I was thinking about, the animals that we know orcas eat the entire animal, right? Like, they obviously eat a whole seal. But what is going on in their digestive tract? Like, are they pooping out bones? Are they dissolving bones? Like, that's... And I'm just imagining, and I don't think this is how it works, because those are obviously bits of the moose carcass left, but I'm just picturing their massive antlers.
Right, yes.
Inside an orca. And that was the nightmare that I felt I had to share with you.
Thanks, but no thanks. Also, I have two questions
Too
now.
Late. Oh gosh, okay.
Okay, so
yes.
Relating to first the antlers and the way that these orcas like incapacitate their prey. How are they incapacitating a moose with those giant antlers? Like, how are they hitting them in a way?
I don't know. Because there's no footage.
Right. There's no footage. Yeah.
And like, sneak attack is obviously they don't necessarily stun all prey ever. It's just one of their hunting, and it's usually the truly aquatic. Right. The truly aquatic animals that they do that to, like the, dolphins and
the ones with
whales
with a swim speed like
dolphins
closer to their own then, right? Like,
I think so.
So they don't have to like,
cause I've never heard or seen anything that gave me the indication that that's one of their hunting techniques with seals.
Right.
Necessarily.
Okay.
Like, that's usually where the videos you see where they're coordinating dive bombing seals off icebergs and stuff.
What the heck?
I imagine once they're in the water, they could do that as well. But I also don't understand why, teams of orcas, like 3 or 4 orcas, do that much work to get one seal off a slab of ice. Because, seals seem giant to us, but when you put it in, that's a little snack. That's not even a meal.
Okay.
So I think it's a combination of sneak attack and shenanigans. That's what I guess
think with the 3 point whatever, or not 3 point, it's like 5, right? That 3 point whatever was Katie Ledecky, but
yes,
but the moose
3.78
has a 5-ish mile per hour. Okay, so
which there are videos of moose swimming, and it is awkward. Imagine doggy paddle, but like long spindly legs. Like it's awkward, but also very entertaining. If you ever
adorable,
feel the need to Google that.
I feel like those are just like giant weird cows.
Yes,
but cows are actually like kind of good at swimming. Did you know that? Like that's really weird.
I don't know how to feel about that.
I know, yeah.
Word for it. But why would they swim? Like, do they swim for fun? Like moose, it makes sense because that's like they're get like the aquatic vegetation.
Yeah,
they also want the vegetation. Interesting.
Yeah, I think I
might have said education. All moose deserve education.
I think you said vegetation. You mixed them together. And it is important to learn about our vegetables. Nailed it. Okay, but back to the point at hand. So how big is an orca compared to a moose? Because I'm really trying to like wrap my head around an orca like going and being like if it's swimming slow enough, right? The moose is swimming and they are just able to just go and like swallow it whole or
like, so how big is their mouth truly?
Right. And their body. So they are like 6,000-ish to like just under like 9,000-ish pounds. Okay. And we're talking about a full-grown one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe so. Okay. Don't quote me.
All right. Cool.
And then like the biggest orca, so like an adult male orca can be up to 30 feet long.
Okay. So like if we're equating that to an SUV like we did with the moose.
Yes.
It is quite a bit larger than a moose.
Like lengthwise, what probably like 3 times the length.
Right. Okay.
And I imagine, and I don't know this particular fact, but I imagine just from what I have seen of their mouths, I look at them all the time, but in videos watching, and even just watching like the SeaWorld videos of like when they're smiling at the crowd.
Yeah.
Like it's not like, I'm sorry to do this to you because I know how you feel, but it's not like a snake jaw. It's not like it like
unhinges.
Dislocates.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I do believe that they have very powerful jaws.
Sure. So they could like come behind them, the moose, and like just eat the bottom half and then like figure the rest out later.
Which is why I'm wondering about when they say that they have, moose carcasses that have clear signs of orca bites, what part of the moose they're looking at.
Right.
And that's why I want to know that.
If we think about it in a really morbid way, too, right? Like the antlers are basically just bones without flesh, right? So they're that would be more buoyant, like a more buoyant part of the moose, I assume.
Yes. I also assume. And it's like on their head, like even when you're swimming, like, they don't swim upside down.
Right.
Like they're not putting, obviously they put their head down to like grab the vegetation, but like,
that's probably a little bit of a neck workout. And they have the thick necks, so they're fine with that, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Weird.
But it's terrifying. I will never understand how they get the liver so precisely. Because there are certain whales that have like very narrow jaws. but they are technically a dolphin. But dolphins also have very narrow jaws.
Right.
And they don't have opposable thumbs.
But orcas don't have narrow jaws, right? Like they have a wide smile, as you were saying. Right, yeah. Like I think I've seen those pictures and I'm never going to look at them the same again.
I'm so sorry.
Thanks for that.
It's terrifying.
I haven't been to SeaWorld and now I probably never will. So that's
well, you know what? Thankfully, they don't have very many orcas left at SeaWorld. So, but they have lots of videos.
Is this a thankful thing, or is it because they're like endangered?
It's a thankful thing because they're it's no longer legal to capture more for captivity. Okay. And they are. I actually read, and I wish I remembered more details, but this wasn't part of my plan for this phone call. But there was an article that I read recently. They were trying to release an orca. And it's like the first time that they've tried to re-release an orca. And they were doing it very, very steps, you know, they were putting it, what is it called? It's like an ocean corral, basically, where they can teach her how to hunt, in a controlled way so that they could continue to feed her as she learns before she's like in open ocean.
And has to really look for it herself then.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, you know, they have like special netting where she can't get out, but, you know, fish could get in and they could teach her. And she was a little bit older too, though. I think she was like, you know, 40 herself, but orcas live very long lives. And they're a very matriarchal society because they are like, they're incredibly intelligent. Different pods have different languages. And they, you know, they feel grief. Like there are videos, specifically SeaWorld. And other places like it where when the mom and babies are separated, that the mom is crying. And it's very distressed sounds. I did also in all of my other research into the generalized topic, because I've been looking at a lot of orca things. There is a museum and it's the Whale Museum. And I believe it's, around the Seattle area, I think, but they have a program where you basically like adopt an orca and your adoption is like funding their continued research and all this kind of stuff. But you go on and you can pick which orca you're like interested in. And there's like whole family trees for whatever orca you pick and all this stuff. And like, which I told Matt about and he was like, I thought you were afraid of them, you know, like whatever. And we decided that it was like, you know, basically like I need to know my enemy kind of. Yeah. But and they are beautiful and it is like very much like family societies, but I want to enjoy their potential from afar. And that's how I feel about orcas, and that's the thing that you know now. So
okay, well, now that I have that nightmare in my head, I'm gonna go drink some water.
Yeah, not salt water though.
No, not salt water.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Don't find a moose at the bottom of your glass.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.